Terraria has thousands of weapons, so today, I'm going to be taking a look at some of Terraria's rarest items and figure out if they're actually worth going for. Let's get started with the slime staff. This item has a 1 in 10,000 chance to drop from any slime, with a few exceptions. Now if you're lucky enough to get this item at the start of your playthrough, then yeah, it's pretty good. But you gotta remember it's one of the rarest items in the whole game, so by the time most people acquire it, they probably already have something better. The finch staff is a good example because it is commonly found in living wood trees, and the bird it summons can fly, making it a lot easier to hit certain enemies. So with all this in mind, the slime staff is definitely not worth going for. We all know how to get the enchanted sword. Just find a sword shrine and hope you have a sword in the stone. But did you know there's actually a chance you'll get a completely different item? The sword in the stone has a 1 in 30 chance to drop the Terragrim. I wouldn't even be surprised if you've never seen this item before. With odds that low, you would expect it to be pretty good, right? Well, this item does have a much higher DPS than the enchanted sword, but in exchange, its range is pretty small. With this limitation, it can be a little hard to use this item, especially against bosses. So if you end up finding it at the start of your playthrough, the damage it does is pretty insane, so it's definitely worth using for a few fights. The bladed glove is an item you can obtain during the Halloween season, however it only has a 0.05 drop chance, so right away this item is already off to a bad start. As you can see, it has a very fast attack speed, but it only deals 14 damage and its range is pretty terrible, and somehow it gets worse, because the bladed glove only benefits from 50% of any melee speed bonuses, so it's not good for crowd control, and you definitely don't want to use it against bosses unless you're planning on tanking a few hits. Overall, for how rare this item is, it's just not worth going for. While we're on the topic of Halloween, I might as well mention the bloody machete, and it's unfortunately obtained the same way as the last item. However, unlike the bladed glove, this item's actually pretty good. It works almost like a boomerang, except when you throw it, it drops to the ground before returning to you, or after hitting an enemy. It can also inflict the bleeding debuff, which adds some extra damage over time and makes a pretty noticeable difference. Compared to other early game boomerangs, this item is way better. It has a much higher DPS, and it returns to you faster, which makes it a lot safer if you miss a target. So all in all, this item is definitely worth using early on in your playthrough if you manage to find it. So now let's finally enter hard mode, starting with the coin gun. This is one of those items a lot of people call underrated, but then proceed to never actually use it. This item doesn't deal damage on its own, but instead depends on what type of coin you use as ammo. Now I know in your average playthrough, you're just not going to have a couple stacks of platinum coins just sitting around, but even if you're only using gold coins, this weapon still does pretty solid damage, especially for something you can obtain almost immediately after entering hard mode. If money does become a problem, that's where another rare drop comes in, the lucky coin. This item is also obtained during the pirate invasion, and it gives you a chance to make enemies drop extra coins whenever you hit them. So of course it matches perfectly with the coin gun, as this will be a very good way to get a lot of coins. If you manage to get both of these items, they're definitely pretty strong for the first couple of bosses. However, in a normal world, the coin cost can definitely hold it back. However, if you're in journey mode, which would give you unlimited access to platinum coins, then the coin gun is definitely worth grinding for. While we're on the topic of pirates, I want to talk about the pirate staff. This item has a pretty low chance of dropping from regular pirate invasion enemies, although the Flying Dutchman does have a much higher chance of dropping it. However, I'm just gonna cut straight to the chase. This item is just bad. The little pirate minions it summons struggle to hit enemies since they're grounded, and they don't even do much damage when they do. Because of that, the pirate staff gets outclassed very quickly by other summoner weapons you can get around the same time. Even though these guys are pretty cute, they're simply just never worth using. The Rod of Discord is one of the most popular items in Terraria, even though it's also one of the rarest. It only has a 0.2 chance of dropping from Chaos Elementals, which are also not very common enemies to begin with. The Rod of Discord doesn't do any damage, but instead lets you teleport anywhere on your screen. However, it does come with a drawback. If you use it too quickly, you'll end up taking some damage. It's not a huge drawback though, as it's only a 6-second debuff, but even with that limitation, the Rod of Discord is absolutely worth grinding for. This item is really good for fighting endgame bosses, and after defeating Moonlord, you can shimmer this item into the Rod of Harmony, which completely removes the Chaos State debuff. So it's definitely worth grinding for at some point. The last item I'm going to talk about is the Blessed Apple. This item has a 2.5 chance to drop from unicorns, which isn't that low, but unicorns are usually a rare spawn. As you can see, the unicorn mount is extremely fast, reaching speeds of around 60 miles per hour, which is about double the speed of lightning boots. It also deals damage to enemies when you're charging at full speed. So with all that going for it, you would think it's definitely worth getting, right? Well, in normal mode or expert mode, yeah, go for it. It's a very strong mount for early hard mode, however in master mode, there's a much easier alternative. By defeating the Wall of Flesh in master mode, you have a 1 in 4 chance to obtain the Goat Skull, which summons a fiery goat mount. This mount is literally the same thing as a unicorn, except it just looks a little bit different. So if you're playing in master mode, just save yourself some time and just use a fiery goat instead. Well, that's all I've got for this one. If you want to see a part 2, make sure to leave a comment with some other rare items and if they're worth using or not. Have a wonderful day.